Okay, Assalamu alaikum. Hope you are well. And good evening to you all. Assalamu alaikum, Parrot Boy, Muhammad Hassan here, Adriana, as always. Excellent. Good to see you all. Is the sound okay? Can I have an audio check? It might sound a bit different this week. I'm in a different place. So it feels like it's kind of echoing in here, but I'm not sure if it is or not. So, can you all hear me? Can someone just confirm in the chat that everything is okay? Anybody? Quiet today, huh? Alayhi salams and now it's It's a little bit different, but at least you can hear me. Okay, thank you. Oh, nameless one. Well, maybe not nameless, but called name. Okay. All right. So, like I said in the description, I thought I'd do something a little bit different. For those of you who have read the description, it was something I was planning to do a while back. It was just instead of putting together ayat of topics that I thought of, or my own thinking of some verses or whatnot, I thought why not just actually take part of a surah and we'll read it all together. Okay, we'll read like about two pages, I think. It is of the Qur'an. I've got my mushaf here. Let me just check. Yeah, it's about 1, 2, 3 pages. I don't know if we'll be able to do that. And what prompted me to do it even more so today is a conversation I was having with somebody in the comments section. Was saying it was along the lines of normal people can't read the Quran, and that's why we need the tafsirs. And what would have been best of all if we had a tafsir of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself. And I said that would be one of the worst things that we could have for the Quran. An actual tafsir of the Prophet would completely shackle us to just that. The Quran is much bigger than the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Having that kind of caging in the Quran to that kind of perspective that the Prophet could only have been able to give to those of the 7th century Arabia, that would have been terrible. The Quran is supposed to help open your eyes and let you be able to see the world around you. And you're supposed to be able to, you look at the Quran, and then when you look up around you, you see more, right? And then and it's vice versa. When you're looking around you in the world that you are, the world of man, the world of animals, the world of whatever it is, just outside, and then you look at the Quran, you see more in there as well. Okay, it's a reflection. Just as this world is in many ways a reflection of God, okay, and this Quran fits into the paradigm of this world. Okay, it's not supposed to be, some people say it's the greatest miracle. It's not, God never sent it to be the greatest miracle. That wasn't its purpose. If God had wanted, as in the Quran it says, if He had wanted, He could have sent just one verse, one ayah, and everybody's necks, the whole of humanity, their necks would have been bent in prostration for eternity. Okay, this isn't supposed to be that kind of thing. Just as this world, there are numerous signs in the world around us, and that's why the Quran points to it, right? It says, do they not see, do they not see, do they not travel through the earth, right? It points to that, right? Because, and just as in this world, the signs are around us for those who can see, those whose hearts are not locked. In the same way, the contemplation for the Quran is there for those who can see and whose hearts are not locked. So, the saying that, the average person can't read or contemplate the Quran. Well, in a way, I suppose you could say that, but the average person is, described, we describe it ourselves. Outside of the Quran, humanity themselves describe each other as sheeple, right? Like cattle, nobody's on cattle, sheep, right? We just Most people are not thinking. Okay, the Quran says, "Am tahsabanna aktharahum yasma'un aw ya'qilun?" Do you think that most of them actually hear or even think? Inhum illa kal-an'am. They are just like cattle. They are but only like cattle. Rather, they're even more astray. So, if you want to say yes, the average person can't read the Quran. Well, the average person is like cattle, but that's not the average potentiality of the human being. Not at all. Not at all. Okay. So the average person, average human being, what he is capable of, has more than enough to be able to read the Quran. But the majority of people, they don't. They won't be able to because they're like sheep, and their hearts are locked. Right? The Quran says, "أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ أَمْ عَلَى قُلُوبٍ أَقْفَالُهَا." Are they not able to ponder the Quran? Will they not ponder, or is it upon their hearts are locks? Their hearts locked. Now, no human being was born with locked hearts. Okay, we do that ourselves, and that's why even the verse says, "Ala qulubin aqfaluha," right? Upon the hearts, their own locks. Okay, it's not external locks. It's not upon the hearts are locks. No, upon the hearts are their own locks. Right? You place the locks. The locks of I must understand the Quran the way of the Salaf, the way of the Tafsir, according to the rules of the Arabic language, which came after the Quran, according to this hadith, according to this narration, according to the scientific miracles, according to whatever it is. Okay, you can lock yourself up. Right, the Quran is much more expensive, and another lock would have been the tafsir of the Prophet. That would have been a lock. It would have prevented people from contemplating the Quran. So alhamdulillah, good that the Prophet, he never did it. And he meant never to do it, of course. Right? He never used to interpret or give tafsir of the Quran at all. He never used to sit there in the mosque, as scholars do now, and recite a verse and then say what it means. Recite a verse, say what it means. Or even what we're doing here is we're contemplating together. Right? And this is part of the Prophet not overstepping his place, because the Prophet himself was never commanded to ponder the Quran. Okay, it's directed at us. Even that verse I just said just a minute ago, will they not ponder the Quran? Who are they? Them. Okay, God is speaking to the Prophet saying, will they not ponder the Quran? Right? And if the Prophet had started to give tafsir of the Quran, it would have prevented that even more. So he didn't. Right? The invitation to ponder the Quran is for us. It wasn't for the Prophet. And he only answered questions that were asked to him, and very minimalistically, very, 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 in very simple ways. But that's for another conversation about the hadiths which have tafsir in them. I actually had a long debate on, not debate, it was a discussion. A very nice brother, I forget his name now, subhanallah, Sheikh Ammar something. I had a discussion with him on Twitter. There was a long sprawling one where went into a lot of issues. One of them was that in something in the Quran which is not clear. Okay, and of course he couldn't do it. Right, there aren't any. Right, even every hadith where the Prophet is actually explaining something, it was something that didn't need an explanation. It was really, to be honest, just a silly question from one of the Sahaba. Right, okay, it's not an explanation. Anyway, I've rambled on not enough. I don't want to make this too long, so I'm not going to be using that same. Let me add this, so everybody should be able to see that. It's me sharing the screen with all the chats we have here. Assalamu alaikum, Adriana. We have that. I don't know what this is. Fatih Bahad, Hector again. Very good. All right, but this is a app that I use. You'll probably recognize it from some of my videos. So we're just going to read this part of Surat Yunus together. We'll try to get as far as we can. Going back a little bit, the reason why I decided to start here, okay, it's a verse which starts without a well, and this is basically where I am in my reading. I've read the Quran, of course, numerous times. Each time it takes me longer to do so. I don't know if, I'm not saying that's how it should be, but that's definitely how it has been for me. Now it takes me maybe a week to get through just a few pages, because it's no longer just reciting, right? You read it and you can read a verse and it just stops you in your tracks, and you just end up being silent, thinking about it for quite a while, and then that's your time that you're putting in done. But anyway, so the previous, let's just go back a few verses, because in the end, the structure of the Quran, it's another layer of meaning that you can look into. Okay, it's often been described a bit like Arabic poetry was called, a string of pearls, where each single verse is masterfully done, but they're just like a string of pearls. That's the effect that they give. There's not like a continuation of meaning between each of the pearls, right? But in the Quran, it's not like that. And another layer of meanings, you can see how they link together. There's even a lot of research that was done now in terms of the what do they call, the ring structure, right? Ring structure of the Quran, of surahs, of verses themselves, right? Of the and there are rings within rings, and even structures between the surahs, how they are arranged. And this does come, the person who discovered this, he saw this. What led him to seeing this in the Quran was actually the Arabic poetry, because a lot of the Arabic poetry, the Jahili poetry, they would reference in the last verse, something in the first verse, right? But of course, the rest of the poem is not like that. No, the Quran seems to do that almost every level, right? Things are being referenced with the other. So we'll just look at the first two verses in passing. We're not going to read them. It's just this two verses before is, given the similitude of this worldly life, as rain coming down, etc. And then it says, "Wallahu yad'u ila dari salam wa yahdi man yasha'u ila siratin mustaqim." And God calls to Dar as-Salam, right? Dar as-Salam, the abode of peace, and guides whom He wills to Sirat Mustaqim. When you think Sirat Mustaqim, you should remember those verses which describe what that is, right? In Surah Al-An'am. But we'll start reading from here. So, A'udhu Billahi Minash Shaitanir Rajeem says here, without a wow, so it's like starting a new section. لِلَّذِينَ أَحْسَنُوا الْحُسْنَى وَزِيَادَةً. Okay? To those who do good, right? For them is good and more. And this mirrors the verse in Surah Ar-Rahman. هَلْ جَزَاءُ الْإِحْسَانِ إِلَّا الْإِحْسَانِ. Is the reward of ihsan, of goodness, anything but goodness, right? So ihsan and ahsanu, al-husna, all basically the same words, right? لِلَّذِينَ أَحْسَنُوا الْحُسْنَى وَزِيَادَةً. No mention of, they have to be believers or anything like that. وَلَا يَرْحَقُ وُجُوهَهُمْ قَتَرٌ وَلَا ذِلَّةٌ. Okay, and no, their faces will not be covered with any, darkness or shade, and no like shame, qatarun wala dhilla, right? Like nothing like this, no darkness or humiliation, dhilla. Okay, أولئك أصحاب الجنة هم فيها خالدون. They are the people of Jannah. They will be there forever. So it's one of the verses that I've mentioned often. You can use to understand that paradise is with deeds. It's not with it's not because of beliefs. Okay, next verse, and of course mirroring the first. وَالَّذِينَ كَسَبُوا السَّيِّئَاتِ. And as for those who earned kasab, okay, they earned as-sayyi'at, the evil things, the bad deeds. Sayyi'at means literally the ugly things which are ugly, and that its opposite is of course ihsan, right? Ihsan, it literally means beauty, right? Things which are beautiful. And there's a branch of ethics which says, a branch of philosophy which says that that ethics is just a part of aesthetics, that good actions are beautiful actions. And that's definitely what the Quran goes for. So it says here, جَزَاءُ سَيِّئَةٍ بِمِثْلِهَا. Okay? وَالَّذِينَ كَسَبُوا السَّيِّئَاتِ جَزَاءُ سَيِّئَةٍ بِمِثْلِهَا. They will have the like of it. So over here was الْحُسْنَى وَزِيَادَةً, and an increase. Here it is, and it's the same, right? So سَيِّئَةٍ بِسَيِّئَةٍ, a bad deed for a bad deed, that's it. وَتَرْحَقُهُمْ ذِلَّةٌ. Okay? And they will be covered in dhillah. And an interesting thing here, it doesn't say وَتَرْحَقُ وُجُوهَهُمْ. Over here it says their faces will not be covered with, قَتَرٌ وَلَا ذِلَّةٌ. Here it says وَلَا تَرْحَقُهُمْ, وَتَرْحَقُهُمْ ذِلَّةٌ. And they themselves will be humiliated. will have shame upon them. ما لهم من الله من عاصم. Okay, there's nothing that's going to be able to protect them from Allah. كأنما أغشيت وجوههم قطر من الليل مظلما. That's why the faces were not mentioned here, because they're being specified even more over here. This complete aspect, the face, the face from which you look at somebody's face, all the expressions are there. So they say, well, كأنما أغشيت وجوههم قطعا من الليل مظلما. It's as if their faces have been covered by pieces of night, darkening, مظلما, darkness. The face will be covered as it were with pieces from the depth of darkness of night. They are the companions of the fire, and they will be there forever. Okay, أولئك أصحاب النار هم فيها خالدون. Okay, these are the companions of the fire, and they will be there forever. And it says, ويوم نحشرهم جميعا ثم نقول للذين أشركوا مكانكم أنتم وشركاءكم. On the day that we will gather them all up together, and then we will say to those who have ashraku, those who have ascribed partners, makanakum antum wa shurakaakum. Okay, to your place. I mean, as in stay in your place, be in your place, to your place. Makanakum antum wa shuraka, you and your partners. Okay, you and your partners. And we've said many times, and you can see this in this verse, that the shuraka are not idols, right? God is not going to speak to the idols, inanimate statues, and tell them, you in your place, and you or people, you in your place. No, He's not going to speak to the idols like that. Yeah. فَزَيَّلْنَا بَيْنَهُمْ. Okay. فَزَيَّلْنَا بَيْنَهُمْ, and we separated from them. Okay. We shall separate them. وَقَالَ شُرَكَاؤُهُمْ, and their shuraka, their partners will say. Okay. And again, do statues speak? No, these are people. وَقَالَ شُرَكَاؤُهُمْ مَا كُنْتُمْ إِيَّانَ تَعْبُدُونَ. You are not worshipping us. You weren't worshipping us. And this is how it is now, right? People think that those whom the Qur'an talks about really as the shuraka, that they are not really the shuraka. The shuraka are just idols, statues. No, it's the people. It's the people. And even on the day of judgment, these people, they will say they will be surprised. No, you weren't worshipping us. You were worshipping these stones, these idols. No. They were worshipping you, because you told them, about these stones and these statues. Or to bring it into the religious context, they were worshipping you because you told them, that killing the apostate is part of the deen of Allah, and they accepted that from you. They were worshipping you. Okay? They were in ibadah to you. They were in servitude to you. They did things to please you. Right? You told, you commanded, they obeyed. Okay, they were your slaves, right? But on their judgment, they don't know it. Right? On their judgment, they'll be surprised. No, you weren't worshipping us. Okay, فَكَفَى بِاللَّهِ شَهِيدًا بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَكُمْ. They will say, enough is Allah as a witness. Look at how firm their belief is that they weren't idols. They say, Allah is enough for us as a witness between you and you. Okay, after that, we certainly, إِن كُنَّا عَنْ عِبَادَتِكُمْ لَغَافِلِينَ. We had no idea that you were worshipping us. We didn't know, but that's not going to be an excuse. That is not going to be an excuse. Okay? Those who will be punished are al-maghdubi alayhim and al-dhalin, those who upon whom Allah's anger, and those who went astray. Okay? One of the ways to understand that, what we recite in Surah Al-Verse, maghdubi alayhim are the leaders, the idols, those who are obeyed, and al-dhalin are the ones who just follow. Okay, just follow. And that's why if you look throughout the whole Quran, when the people of hell are arguing with each other, they are arguing, in this kind of way. They're arguing. The leaders are arguing with the weak followers. Okay, they are trying to blame each other. It was you, your fault. It's like, no, it wasn't us. You yourselves were misguided, etc. Okay, just want to make sure I'm not. Everybody's seeing this, right? Why does Allah tell the story of Moses? Okay, we'll come to that. Remind me about that question. I'll see what I have for that. Okay, so but what's amazing here? Just look at this. Look at this. Certainty they will have. They have a lot of certainty on the day of judgment, even that they weren't idols, but they were. And the hypocrites will be the same. Okay, and none of us they will swear to Allah as they swear to you. Okay, they make promises and oaths to Allah as they do to you. And then it says, هُنَالِكَ تَبْلُو كُلُّ نَفْسٍ مَا أَسْلَفَتْ وَرُدُّوا إِلَى اللَّهِ مَوْلَاهُمُ الْحَقِّ وَضَلَّ عَنْهُمْ مَا كَانُوا يَفْتَرُونَ. Over there, every soul, okay, will get the sort of the we'll get basically what its deeds. تَبْلُو كُلُّ نَفْسٍ مَا أَسْلَفَتْ, what it did. So again, we're talking about deeds. Okay, مَا أَسْلَفَتْ. All right. وَرُدُّوا إِلَى اللَّهِ مَوْلَاهُمُ الْحَقِّ, and they were taken back to Allah, their true Lord. وَضَلَّ عَنْهُمْ مَا كَانُوا يَفْتَرُونَ, and that which they used to invent has gone. It's left them. What things? Only, these iftira, all this iftira of whether it's a hadith, whatever the sayings of the scholars, whatever it's a salaf, whatever, all of this will be gone, because none of that will be accepted on the Day of Judgment. God is not going to ask you about any of that. He's told us that explicitly in the Qur'an. Okay? تِلْكَ أُمَّةٌ قَدْ خَلَتْ لَهَا مَا كَسَبَتْ وَلَكُمْ مَا كَسَبْتُمْ. Those are people who have gone away before you. For them is what they did, and for you is what you have done. Okay? And you will not be asked about what they did. It's not going to be a number. Allah's not going to ask you, why didn't you follow the fatwa of Imam Malik? They're going to ask you about Imam Malik, or about Abu Hanifa, or about the Sahaba. I'm not going to ask you about anything. The question is only going to be about the verses of Allah. أَلَمْ تَكُنْ آيَاتِ تُتْلَى عَلَيْكُمْ. Were not my signs recited to you? That's it. Okay. And even here, interesting thing here is تُبْلُ كُلُّ نَفْسٍ مَا أَسْلَفَتْ. The word which is used here, أَسْلَفَتْ, from which comes the word salaf. Okay. And your only Mawla, وَرُدُّوا إِلَى اللَّهِ مَوْلَاهُمُ الْحَقِّ. Okay. The only true Mawla is Allah. No other Mawla. Okay. No other Mawla. None of the Imams, none of the Shuyukh, none of that. And this now, it goes on from that. Okay? قُلْ, tell them, ask them, مَنْ يَرْزُقُكُم مِّنَ السَّمَاءِ وَالْأَرْضِ أَمَّنْ يَمْلِكُ السَّمْعَ وَالْأَبْصَارَ وَمَنْ يُخْرِجُ الْحَيَّ مِنَ الْمَيِّتِ وَيُخْرِجُ الْمَيِّتَ مِنَ الْحَيِّ وَمَنْ يُدَبِّرُ الْأَمْرَ فَسَيَقُولُونَ اللَّهُ فَقُلْ أَفَلَا تَتَّقُونَ. Okay? Say, who provides for you from the heavens and the earth, or who controls hearing and sight, and who brings the living out of the dead and brings the dead out of the living, and who arranges matters? They will say, Allah. Okay, then will you not have taqwa of Him? Okay, this is Allah. Okay, this is whom you should have taqwa of. Okay, the one who does all of that, who has sent you His signs, not those who provide you nothing but things which they invented. Okay, falsehoods, invented falsehoods. Okay, no, this is haqq. These are the real things that you see around you. Okay, and it's Allah who sends His verses and His signs, and so those are the ones you're supposed to. He's the one you should have taqwa of, not have taqwa of the shuraka. Okay, these shuraka. You should taqwa of the shuraka. فَذَلِكُمُ اللَّهُ رَبُّكُمْ. So that is Allah, your Lord. رَبُّكُمُ الْحَقِّ. So here was مَوْلَاهُمُ الْحَقِّ, right? رُدُّوا إِلَى اللَّهِ مَوْلَاهُمُ الْحَقِّ. And here, فَذَلِكُمُ اللَّهُ رَبُّكُمُ الْحَقِّ. Okay? فَمَاذَا بَعْدَ الْحَقِّ إِلَّا الضَّلَالِ. So what then will come after the haqq except الضَّلَالِ? فَأَنَّا تُصْرَفُونَ. So then how can you be, diverted from that? What has taken you away from that? Okay, it's pretty simple, right? Your Lord and your Mawla is Allah. Okay, He has, all the powers, so to speak, right? And He's sent you giving you the hearing and the sight. Okay, يَمْلِكُ الْأَبْسَمْعَ وَالْأَبْصَارَ. Okay, why is Allah saying the sam wal absar? Because you should be able to see, right? You shouldn't be able to be diverted from this straight path. Okay, which was mentioned a few verses before. وَاللَّهُ يَدْعُو إِلَى دَارِ السَّلَامِ, and guides whom He wills to Surat mustaqim. Okay, you shouldn't be diverted. You have your hearing, you have your sight, okay, which Allah has given it to you, and He will bring you out from, He can bring out the dead from the living, and the living from the dead. That's just talking about people, of course. Okay, those who are spiritually dead can be brought back to life, right? And those who are spiritually alive could end up dying, okay, inside. Right, so what do you want to be? Do you want to be from the dead who becomes alive, or from the living who becomes dead? Okay, which one will it be? Okay, how is it that you are diverted from this? كذلك حقت كلمة ربك على الذين فسقوا أنهم لا يؤمنون. Okay, and thus is the word of Allah proven, okay, or the decree of Allah proven. Okay, كذلك حقت كلمة ربك على الذين فسقوا, upon those who have فسقوا, so they were fasiqin, they did fisq, okay, they were wicked, they did wrongdoing, etc. أنهم لا يؤمنون. It's these people who will never have iman. These people who never have iman. You need to remove that fisq away from yourself, and then you can have iman. And these two, are balanced a lot in the Quran: fisq and iman. One verse says, "أَفَمَنْ كَانَ مُؤْمِنًا كَمَنْ كَانَ فَاسِقًا." Is the one who is a mu'min like the one who is a fasiq? Okay, and we talked about al-fasiqun in one of the streams, and it's linked a lot with al-munafiqun, right? Nifaq. قل هل من شركائكم من يبدأ الخلق ثم يعيده قل الله يبدأ الخلق ثم يعيده فأنى تؤفكون. Okay, so of your partners, can any originate creation and repeat it? So it is Allah who originates creation and repeats it. Then how are you deluded away from the truth? Again, okay, so these shuraka, now who's Allah speaking here now to? Who is the Prophet being commanded to speak to? He's speaking to the followers of these shuraka. Okay, so we're talking now directly, not to the idols, the leaders. We're trying to address the mass herd which is following them. Okay, those who have taken them as idols. See? قل هل من شركاء من يبدأ الخلق ثم يعيده. Is there any of your shuraka who originated creation, even your creation, and can recreate you, can make you change into something better, okay, can elevate you? Okay, قل الله, Allah can. Allah can يبدأ الخلق. He originated your creation and all creation, and He can change it. يعيده doesn't just mean like repeat it. Okay, like يعيده means to repeat it, not like He created and then He will create the same thing again. No, He creates a creation and then He like reinvents it. Okay, so it's like saying, who from your shuraka can help reinvent you, right, in the proper way. Okay, يعيده to read, like I was saying, يعيد like in poem, when people recite poetry, right? Somebody recites a verse and they tell me يعيد, say it again, recite it again. قل هل من شركائكم من يهدي إلى الحق. Say, are there any of your shuraka, any of these leaders of yours who can guide to the truth? قل الله يهدي للحق. Okay, God guides to the truth. أفمن يهدي إلى الحق يحق يعني يتبع أمن لا يهدي إلا أن يهدى. Is the one who guides to the haqq more deserving أحق to be followed, or the one who does not guide but needs to be guided? Okay, and that's everybody. In the end, everybody needs guidance. Okay, and this is, it's linked a bit, to Surah Al-A'la. الذي خلق ثم هدى, right? الذي أعطى كل شيء خلقه ثم هدى. That's in Surah Taha. Okay, but in Surah Al, الذي قدر فهدى, right? الذي قدر فهدى. But yeah, these are related together as well. The khalq and the hidayah. Okay, ومن لا يهدي إلا يهدى. وما يتبع أكثرهم إلا ظنا. Okay, now these people, okay, who need to be guided, okay, these shuraka who can't be guided, they need to be guided. Next verse saying, most of them, they follow only conjecture, but most of them follow only conjecture, right? وما يتبع أكثرهم إلا ظنا. Most of these leaders that you have, they're only following conjecture, right? And we see that very clearly in the hadith, right? They will even tell you, any scholar of hadith will tell you, a serious scholar of hadith will tell you a hadith does not give certain knowledge unless it's mass transmitted. And all the serious scholars of hadith will tell you there are no mass transmitted hadith, not truly mass transmitted. They've kept the name but taken away the actual reality of it. Okay, so when you hear that such and such a hadith is mass transmitted, it's actually not mass transmitted. Okay, it's not. It just has many chains, a mass number of chains, you can say, but it's not mass transmitted. Mass transmitted means that every single link, okay, there's a certain number who who narrated it. Okay, you can't have, if you see that number, it must be 5. Then you need 5 companions of the Prophet ﷺ, all narrating this something. Okay, and then from each of these 5, you need another 5. So what does that become now? You've got 5 times 5 different chains. Okay, that's 25 chains already. Okay, just going from the Sahaba to the Tabi'in. Okay, and then in the third level, you need another 5 from each of those. So 5 times 5 times 5. Okay, so 25 times 5, that's 125 different chains. There's no hadith like this, even just at that level. Never mind going down all the way to the time when the hadiths were actually written down. Okay, nobody was thinking at the time to write down all of them. No scholar was going to write down 125 versions of hadith just to prove it anyway. وما يتبع أكثرهم إلا الظن إن الظن لا يغني من الحق شيئا. Okay, the dhann, like the hadith which is dhanni. Okay, لا يغني من الحق شيئا. Okay, I can't avail anything against the truth. الحق. إن الله عليم بما يفعلون. And look, Allah knows very well what they are doing, what these people are doing, who are bringing all this dhann, all this conjecture, and promoting it. It's action. They are engaged in action. So those of faith need not to worry. Inna Allah alimun bima yaf'alun. God knows very well what they are doing. He knows what they're doing. In other verses, Allah says to the Prophet, فَذَرْهُمْ مَا يَفْتُرُونَ. Leave them in that which they invent. Let them invent it, because it's part of what Allah wants. And how do you know that this is really talking about this kind of dichotomy? We're talking about the Qur'an, which is truth, haqq. Okay, and talking about what's less than that. Okay, dhann. Okay, the next verse, what is it talking about? The Qur'an. وَمَا كَانَ هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ يُفْتَرَى مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ. Okay, and this Qur'an is not such that it could have been yuftara, like it couldn't have been invented by other than Allah. Right. So this word here, yuftara min dunillah, takes us back again to this. The idea, actually, what you just mentioned it now, فَذَرْهُمْ وَمَا يَفْتَرُونَ, right? That some other verse in the Quran say, leave them in that which they invent, مَا يَفْتَرُونَ. And it takes us back to the verse here, which says, I forget which one of these it was, which talked about iftira, right? Here it is, وَمَا كَانُوا يَفْتَرُونَ, right? هُنَالِكَ تُبْلَى كُلُّ نَفْسٍ مَا أَسْلَفَتْ وَرُدُّوا إِلَى اللَّهِ مَوْلَاهُمُ الْحَقِّ وَضَلَّ عَنْهُمْ مَا كَانُوا يَفْتَرُونَ. Okay, what they invented is gone. Okay, but what Allah invented is Qur'an. وَمَا كَانَ هَذَا الْقُرْآنُ يُفْتَرَى مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ. No, that states. وَمَا كَانَ هَذَا الْقُرْآنُ يُفْتَرَى مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ وَلَكِنَّ تَصْدِيقَ الَّذِي بَيْنَ يَدَيْهِ. But it is a confirmation of that which is before it. وَتَفْصِيلَ الْكِتَابِ لَا رَيْبَ فِيهِ مِنْ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. And it is a tafsir. Now, lots in the Qur'anist community think this means, when they talk about this word tafsil, they think it means, like the Quran is tafsilan li kulli shay, right? They think it means it explains everything. Okay, no, it doesn't mean that. Okay, tafsil, fasl, which means to, sort of divide things, to categorize things. Okay, so you can say, it's a tafsil al-kitab. Okay, it's like putting things in their proper place. That's basically what it means, right? When you put everything, if you have a group of children, okay, which fasl are you in? Which grade are you in? Grade 9, okay, you go to grade 9. You, how old are you? You're this old, you go to grade 6. You, how old are you? You go to here, okay? Tafsil, the fasl is, sort of like categories or groups. Okay, so it's putting everything in its place. The Quran puts everything in its place, right? So it takes us a bit back to the Quranic aims, right? That there's a hierarchy of these kind of things. Okay, the ibadah leads to taqwa. Taqwa leads to shukr. It's that way around. Okay, it doesn't go any other way around. Okay, it doesn't go. These things can't be swapped. Okay, there's a hierarchy. Okay, what's everything in its proper place. Okay, so one of the things, for example, is why did God send the messengers and reveal the books? Was so that mankind can stand up for justice. And so justice in its place among the highest peaks. Okay, that's the reason for the messengers and the books. Okay, that's what it means when we talk about tafsil al-kitab. Okay, tafsil al-kitab la rayba fihi min rabbil alamin. There's no doubt it's from the Lord of the worlds. أَمَّ يَقُولُونَ افتراء. Okay, but what about those now who will say that you, Muhammad, now you're making this up. Okay, you are just like all these other people who have invented things. أَمْ يَقُولُونَ افتراء قُلْ فَأْتُوا بِسُورَةٍ مِثْلِهِ وَادْعُوا مِنْ اسْتَطَعْتُم مِّن دُونِ اللَّهِ إِن كُنتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. Say to them then, bring a surah like it. Okay, because the claim before, even before over here, وَمَا كَانَ هَذَا الْقُرْآنَ أَن يُفْتَرَى مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ. Okay, this Quran could not have been invented or come from any but Allah. Okay, so not saying يقولون افتراء, but they're saying that you, Muhammad, you have. They're saying that Muhammad iftara. Okay, then tell them bring a surah like it. And I wrote a post about this, the Quran's challenge, because it's completely, I think, misunderstood a lot of the time. People think it's about eloquence. It's not about eloquence. Okay, it's not about how eloquent the Quran is. That nothing could be more eloquent than it is. No, things can be more eloquent than the Quran. Yes, I know some people think that's blasphemous, but no, the Quran was not revealed to be the most eloquent thing there is. Okay, if God had wanted to reveal something, at the peak of eloquence, the heights, if that's the purpose of it, it could have been much better than the Quran, much higher. Okay, that's not to say, of course, the Quran is not at the peak of eloquence for what it wants to say. It is, okay, but it's a whole different thing. Okay, some of it depends on the subject matter, right? Eloquence sometimes depends on what you're going to speak about. Sublime topics will always seem much more, speaking in them with a lot more eloquence. Things said in them can be more eloquent than talking about the rules of inheritance or marriage. That's in the Quran. Okay. But anyway, those who would like to see that, check my Reddit. You'll see a post all about, which I put into cross-posted into the religious subreddit and a few other subreddits, trying to get somebody to respond to it. Very very little genuine feedback. All right. Anyway, but that's it. So let's continue the surah. بل كذبوا بما لم يحيطوا بعلمه ولما يأتيهم تأويله. Okay, but rather they have rejected what they have not encompassed with knowledge. Okay, they're rejecting what they don't understand. Okay, and this comes back to أَمَّنْ يَمْلِكُ الْأَبْصَارَ السَّمْعَ وَالْأَبْصَارَ. What about him who owns the hearing and the sight, which is given you so you can go and learn. Okay, but you're just rejecting. Okay, rejecting what you don't understand. Now, not everything has to be rejection or acceptance. Okay, you can't just be in the middle and say I'm learning. Okay, and that's what it means here, right? You don't reject what you don't know, or you can just say I'm learning. Okay, I don't know it. So I'm just gonna learn. As I learn, then I'll see. Okay. وَلَمَّا يَأْتِيهِمْ تَأْوِيلُ, even though its understanding has not come to them. Okay. Ta'wilu, the word ta'wil, it comes from the word awwal, right? The first. It's taking the meanings back to the origins. Ta'wil means to take the meaning. It's often said in English interpretation. Okay. The literal word ta'wil means to take the thing back to its first, its awwal, to its original meaning. Okay. وَلَمَّا يَأْتِيهِمْ تَأْوِيلُهُ كَذَلِكَ كَذَّبَ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ. Okay. In the same way that those before them rejected. فانظر كيف كان عاقبة الظالمين. Now, okay, then have a look. How was the end of the ظالمين, of the oppressors? What does this mean? Okay, it means that what is being rejected here is something which is supposed to prevent ظلم, supposed to prevent oppression. Okay, فانظر كيف كان عاقبة الظالمين. Let me check the thing. By the way, because I'm looking at this app, I can't see any chats or anything, so I'll look at the chats later, right? Which verse are we on now? Verse 39. Check mine. Okay, so we'll continue a little bit more. I don't wanna. Wow, we're already almost an hour. ومنهم من يؤمن به ومنهم من لا يؤمن به وربك أعلم بالمفسدين. Okay, now this is again, we're talking about. You'll see that when it comes to Iman, like I said, is not the be all and end all. It says here, and of those are those who have Iman in it, and of them are those who have no Iman, who don't have Iman in it. Okay, some of them, of course, either because of takzeeb, rejecting, some because they are still learning. Okay, And there are some people who have more integrity than rejecting something which they don't know. And there are also people who have integrity enough to not accept something which they don't know. They can still be learning. But what does Allah say? وَرَبُّكَ أَعْلَمُ بِالْمُفْسِدِينَ. But Allah knows who are those who are mufsideen. Okay? Whether they believe in it or they don't believe in it. It doesn't matter. What matters is, are you of the mufsideen? Okay? وَرَبُّكَ أَعْلَمُ بِالْمُفْسِدِينَ. Your Lord knows those who create corruption, mischief. Okay, they're the ones who are going to be in trouble. Okay, those are the ones who are going to be in trouble. It's not, whether you believe in it or you don't believe in it. All the same. Okay, ربك أعلم بالمفسدين. وإن كذبوك فقل لي عملي ولكم عملكم. Okay, and again we're talking about deeds, right? But if they reject you, and then say to them, فقل, say, O Muhammad, لي عملي, for me is my actions, ولكم عملكم, and for you are your actions. أنتم بريئون مما أعمل, you are free from what I do, وأنا بريء مما تعملون, and I am free of that which you do. Okay, so what, again, look, all of this is about what? Actions. Okay, whether you believe, منهم من يؤمن به ومنهم من لا يؤمن به. Of them are those who have faith or believe, of them are those who don't have faith and don't believe. But your Lord knows the mufsideen. Okay, so if you reject, tell them, O Muhammad, for me is my deeds, for you your deeds. I am free of what you do, you are free from what I do. Okay, ومنهم من يستمعون إليك, and among them are those who listen to you. Okay, they listen. Okay, أفأنت تسمع الصم ولو كانوا لا يعقلون. But can you really make them hear? Can you really make the deaf hear? So you sit there and you're speaking to these people, but they're internally they are deaf. They are spiritually deaf. Okay, and this is again why we need to understand the hearing and sight and things like I mentioned in the Quran. We're talking about real hearing, real sight, because there it says among them are those who can hear, who are listening to you, and then it says, are you going to be able to make them hear? But wait a minute, you're just saying that they are listening. Okay, it's not the same. Okay, now in English you can have two different words. Okay, you can look but not see, right? And that's a similar sort of thing in terms of the what's being expressed here. منهم من يستمع إليك أنت تسمع الصم ولو كانوا لا يعقلون. Okay, can you make the deaf hear, even if they, even though they have no understanding? Okay, even if they had understanding as well. And among them are those who, no, that's the same verse twice. Okay, no, translation. ومنهم من ينظر إليك. Okay, and among them are those who look at you, and just look at you. أفأنت تهدي العمي. ومنهم من ينظر إليك, among them are those who look at you. Okay, أفأنت تهدي العمي ولو كانوا لا يبصرون. Okay, are you going to guide the blind even if they have no insight? And here we have that difference between ينظر, نظرة with the eye, and يبصر, right? Sort of like insight. Okay, which in Arabic we don't really have. It doesn't seem we have it like this difference. But in English even we have this, right? You look but don't see. إن الله لا يظلم الناس شيئا. God will not wrong people anything. ولكن الناس أنفسهم يظلمون. But it's people who wrong themselves. And this takes us all the way back. Remember, all of these verses, you need to always think back about what's been said previously. This takes us all the way back to 54. Takes us all the way back to 26 where we started, right? The first two verses. What does it say? To those who do good shall be good. They will get good, right? للذين أحسنوا الحسنى وزيادة. Okay, and والذين كسبوا السيئات جزاء سيئات مثلها. And those who have earned evil deeds, for them is the سيئة مثلها. Okay, that brings us all the way back to that same thing. That it's not Allah who is wronging people. It's they who are wronging themselves. They who are wronging themselves. So here it is in the line. Okay, next verse. وَيَوْمَ, and again, look, I think, so these verses, again, they're mirroring other verses before, but I'm not going to keep Okay, looks like something went wrong. How long was I talking to myself? I need to cook. My son is looking at me. All right, I have no idea what happened there. I just moved away from the thing. I stopped at which verse, and then it just told me. I came back to my browser, and it said something went wrong, and I had to get on again. A long time, really? How long? Okay, maybe that was not the best way of doing this. Okay, well, anyway, let me know which verse did I stop with you guys on? I want to know exactly where did we stop. Was anybody keeping count on the screen? Come on. It's a teenager. He gets everything. Yeah, we were all doing that, eating up everything from house and home. Anyway, okay, alhamdulillah. I think we'll stop. We'll stop there. Unless anybody, let me check um, the chat. See who we have. What we have. Got any comments? Anybody has a question to? Oh, so it was like 5 to 7 minutes. That's not too bad, I suppose. That's not too bad. Verse 40 or 41. Verse 40 or 41. All right, okay, no problem. I think you got the gist of it. Wow, 40 or 41 is quite a while back. Okay, we can continue maybe doing something like this next time. Alhamdulillah. Okay, I'll check the replay later and see exactly where we stopped. Anyway, anybody have anything to say, anything to add? I'm trying to scroll back up through the comments. Why does Allah, yeah, this was a question, right? Why does Allah tell the story of Musa alayhi salam mixed with other stories, but Surah Yusuf, he tells all at once? Yeah, that's an interesting question. I've thought of it, but I have no real answer about that. But one thing I'm sure it's because Musa is very relevant to, the whole story of Musa just has so many things relevant to it. Whereas the story of relevant to us, relevant to like a nation, okay, to the nation, to the Muslim Ummah, to the how the companions of the Prophet were, the people around him, a lot of very relevant things. So it's brought up again and again, right? It's brought up again and again. But the story of Yusuf doesn't really have as much. Okay, it doesn't have as much in terms of the story, the journey of one person, Yusuf alayhi salam, and the promise that Allah made to him. It's a very interesting thing. I've never thought of it as much. I mean, the only other Yusuf is only mentioned. His sort of a bit of his story is only mentioned in Surah Ghafirah in just one verse, and that's it. And the rest of it is all just in Surah Yusuf. I'm not sure. Here we have an answer. Let's read this. I guess Moses' story is repeated in order to emphasize Pharaoh's ego and mixed up with other stories of the prophets where their people rejected them because of ego, like Pharaoh did. Yeah, that could be it. Just has the story of Musa just has so much. I mean, you have Khidr and Musa, right? That has nothing to do with that. Then you have, sort of Musa and the Israelites. It's because he had such a difficult time with them. I mean, one thing that, for example, Hassan al-Maliki says, he says, why are he doesn't focus as much on Musa as much on the Ben Israel. He says Ben Israel, the Quran focuses on them that much because they're like a microcosm of humanity. Okay, so when the Quran, is curing their ailments, highlighting the good and the bad of them, then it can be applied to all of humanity. Okay, that's how he places it. Is a blind man from Surat Al was a spiritually blind or naturally? I think naturally blind. okay, because he was not spiritually blind, because he was seeking, right? And ja'ahu al-a'ma, okay, that the blind man came seeking, right? He came. So no, I don't think it's a really blind person. So this is where where the connection failed. Wasn't that far? That wasn't that long ago. It's all right. Brother, come back. Okay, I did come back. What's happened? All of a sudden, sound went off. Yeah, it's probably just because, like I said, I'm in a new place, and Saudi police. Yeah, Saudi police raided the home of this guy and took him off. Good one. It's probably it was just a technical glitch. The Wi-Fi doesn't get here as clearly. What is Mola? Mola is one of those words in Arabic which are both mean master and the slave. It can be both mean the master and the slave. Okay. يوم لا يغني مولا عن مولا شيئا. Right. One of the verses in the Quran, the day when no master can avail his servant of anything. Okay. What's mushrik? What's a mushrik with people? Examples. A mushrik with people, for example, you know that Allah has commanded something. For example, I don't know, say, bring it to something closer, which people speak about. I suppose we talk about sort of the women's dress thing, right? So, for example, the God did not make wearing perfume, right? There's nothing about perfume being haram in the Quran, okay? But you are saying no, it is haram. It is haram. Somebody says it's haram, and then you take it and say yes, it is haram, right? It is haram. Even God, though God did not say it's haram, okay, this person is saying it's haram, so for you it's haram. That's you taking this person as an idol. Okay, you are doing shirk in that kind of way with that person. It's al-khudu'. Shirk is basically to be, submissive. It's like a servant, like a slave, to be as a slave to somebody else. Okay, so you're dividing your servitude between God and these other people. Okay. Yeah, people don't choose master. Yeah, it's no meaning. All right, okay, guys. I think we'll end it there. Nobody backstage to come on, and I think we had a good run of it. I'm gonna have to listen to this back to see how it went. But Jazakumullah khair for coming on. And can you add another word for master? I don't know. I suppose another master. Another word for master. Lord. Yeah, Mawla, Lord. Sort of, they used to call, like in some of these translations I've seen it, called as the client and his I don't know, another thing, because it can mean your protector, I suppose. Okay, protector. Okay, don't use Lord either. What are we left with then? Huh? What are we left with to say? Don't use Lord. Don't use thing. I suppose, okay, protector. You could say that, right? That you're one protector. Because again, even in the past, right, a man was supposed to be able to protect his slaves, right? Nobody else touches a man's slaves. No other guy can touch your slaves but you. You're not allowed to beat. The other person is not allowed to beat your slaves. You only can beat the slave, right? So you could say protector. Okay, from Mola, protector. Could work as well. All right, okay. Assalamu alaikum. Take care of yourselves, and inshallah, see you again next week. Assalamu alaikum.